good day, and thank you for tuning in to the We Are Here podcast. My name is Teddy Meguinis. In part 2 of our conversation with Britney Meguinis TwoGuns, we talk about the realities of being a darker-skinned First Nations woman in this world, and what that means to her. I myself, a two-spirited, lighter-skinned person, could not even fathom what the realities are for her, and I don't pretend to. And I'm super excited to share that conversation with all of you today. We are also going to talk about her time living in Black Bear Crossing, which before being evacuated in 2006 was predominantly housing for the Canadian military on Tsuut'ina Nation, until the Canadian military vacated the properties, which left empty property units, and at the time Tsuut'ina Nation was experiencing a large housing crisis and Tsuut'ina citizens moved in. I did not understand her perspective until today. Please join me for part 2. Myself, as an Indigenous person in just the world, I have always gone in life as a gay person, as a person of color with lighter skin, which has gotten me indoors that I'm sure hasn't gotten many people in. And so I really just wanted to have a conversation about who you are. Hi, I'm Teddy Meguinis, Tsuut'ina Nation, and I'm sitting here with Britney Meguinis of Tsuut'ina Nation. Britney and I have met, I want to say less than a year ago, but I've always known of you.
Yes.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
So, I'm Britney Meguinis.
TwoGuns?
Yes, I was going to get to that. Currently, I'm in the process of changing to TwoGuns.
Okay.
So I'm just waiting for the certificate in the mail. So that's going to be exciting. But yes, so I'm Britney TwoGuns. I am 26 years old.
Good age.
And yeah, I'm the oldest of my siblings. And it's funny that you mentioned the lighter skin, because I think I am the darkest girl in my family, whereas my sister, she's lighter, and it does show when we go places together and we're not together in the store, but I see how, people are more nice to her and she gets more compliments than me.
And I'll paint a picture, because everyone can't see. If you don't know Britney, beautiful 26-year-old Tsuut'ina Nation woman, beautiful smile, and I love when you smile. It really does light up a room.
Thank you.
And even being a beautiful, intelligent, smart, well-dressed, might I say,
thank you.
woman, I've even noticed a lot of times in New York City, like I said about the skin politics, is I've noticed the difference in the reactions, and I've even noticed the politics in families.
Yeah.
How I don't know, maybe because my privilege has given me ignorance to not seeing it, because it's never been done to me. It's like whenever friends say, well, I don't see racism to Indigenous people, and I have to be like, well, you're not Indigenous.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see that.
Exactly.
But you see it.
Yeah.
What does it look like?
I think the most I've seen it in my experience is either when I am with my family and we're in these stores, well, before pandemic anyway, and we'd be followed around a lot. And my mom, she was mostly with us, like, by herself. So they do, like, tend to steer more to us. And, I just remember the workers always watching us, or always coming aisle to aisle with us to make sure we're not stealing or something like that. That was just one area. The other area I've seen it in my recent life is when I've been to school. So usually I'm the only Aboriginal Indigenous woman in my class. And I did take a few classes where they do touch on Indigenous issues. And even then, it would be kind of, I don't know, it would just be kind of racist. Because they would say, like, this happened so long ago, it doesn't affect it now.
Hate that.
Exactly. And, I would stand up and I'd say, well, no, it does affect us still. Like, look at it right now. I'm the Indigenous woman in here, and I'm not even being approached on how this experience has been in my life. And I'm not saying I have the right to be approached and asked that, but just to be able to listen to my side and my experience as that woman in that area.
Can I ask, what makes you feel you don't have the right? Only because I think you do.
Oh, thank you. I guess it just depends. Like, I feel like I do have the right to be asked, but I don't want to be, put on the spot to be asked and like, you know, kind of an example, I would say.
Yeah, so you feel I think you have the right, but you don't want to be made as an example.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to be like the martyr for all of us. I get that.
Yeah, but I'm glad to be sometimes. I don't know. It just depends on the kind of racism that's being showed. Because sometimes it's really ignorant and really...
Oh my God, yeah.
Just so ignorant. But other times it's kind of... You can tell it's like... It's not intentional and that they just didn't know better. Yeah.
That's when I always find whenever people do that, I'm just like, God, your ignorance must be such bliss. You don't even have to pay attention to. Oh my God, you get to walk through life unharmed, unscathed.
So I think that's been one of the bigger areas. And like honestly, sometimes when I was in school and classes and we were going over these issues, it was really hard to sit in there, and like it was just really hard, and I felt so alone in those moments.
Yeah.
But then I would go home and I'd talk to my family about it, and they're just like, you know, you just got to keep going, and you just got to put one foot in front of the other, because sometimes it is really alienating within these areas to be that way. And when I was looking at different law firms downtown, I really wanted one that had an Indigenous area of law that they were working on, because I just wanted to be a part of it. And thankfully I found one at Walsh LLP, and they had I honestly forget her name, but she was the Aboriginal lawyer there, and I didn't get to work with her, but I wish I had. But that's kind of what I look for in when I'm going outside of Tsuut'ina's boundaries, is I want to be able to find a place that recognizes Aboriginal people, because I think that when that happens, it does go forward, and like, you know, one person can make a difference in that area.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't have this experience, so maybe you can speak to it a little bit to me. Is I'm not a woman, and I'm not an Aboriginal woman with darker skin. Out here on our reserves, I'm sure your experience being here on our land with our families is something, and I'm sure your experience being outside of these borders is something else. Can you speak to me about what is the experience as being a Tsuut'ina woman in our borders, and what is an experience as a Tsuut'ina woman outside of our borders been for you?
Okay. Well, being a Tsuut'ina woman within our borders, I'm really proud of. Yeah. But even sometimes in here, it does get like, you know, the Tsuut'ina women, in my experience, have been pushed down by our own people, and they have like not been listened to. And in our ways, the ways that I was taught, it's that the men, they can do all this work, but they do like rely on the Tsuut'ina women for their expertise, and that's just the way that I was taught, and that's what I thought would, like, you know, be happening.
Yeah.
And sometimes like I still see it within our own political area, that the Tsuut'ina women aren't listened to. And sometimes like I consider the Tsuut'ina women so strong and so unafraid,
knowledgeable.
And I feel like sometimes people don't like that, and they just think all Tsuut'ina women, like true Tsuut'ina women, are mean, and like they're just mean. And I'm like, well, no, you just you don't listen to them.
Yeah,
you don't understand.
They're confusing mean with frustrated.
Because I love all our older Tsuut'ina women.
Oh, I love
because
them.
They're so strong and they're so knowledgeable, and
they're still here.
Exactly.
Still going.
Yeah. So that's my experience within our Tsuut'ina Nation borders, and I hope
outside.
Well, outside it's so different. It's like, who's Tsuut'ina, or what is Tsuut'ina, as I've heard them say. They usually revert to the Sarsi. So outside of the borders, it is different. I'm glad to be a representative of that, and I hope I'm a good one. And I try to work towards being a good Tsuut'ina woman, that outside of our borders, wherever I go, that it's looked up to and not, you know, talked bad about, because I do carry that with me, and like it or not, I have to. That'll always be a part of me, but I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. I think in the world, just being a woman is that already gets difficult. I know from being around so many strong women constantly have to assert themselves, be dominant in their beliefs, because if they're not listened to. And it's been my experience in many iterations of life. And from my experience with sitting with you and knowing you, you can be very quiet, which I think some people can mistake for being timid or for being for not being assertive for yourself. And I know that to not be the truth, because I mean, you have to do this, your job. What are some of the ways that you have been a strong woman for yourself, who has to be a strong woman for herself?
Yeah, so it's funny that you mentioned that I'm quiet, because just last week I was talking to one of my friends and they're like, well, you're so quiet, we never know what you're thinking. Like, well, I guess so, but I'm not quiet because I'm not interested. I just really like to listen to everyone and take in their information.
Yeah.
And sometimes I like try to just evaluate it, and I'm like, well, what is my stance on this, or what do I think? So
what we're mistaking for quiet is really you're just observing all of us.
Not in a bad way, though.
No, thank you. We need more of that. Everyone needs a Britney in their friend group.
Yeah, and like it's so crazy because I've gotten a few times that when I don't smile or I don't talk, they think I look mean or like I'm mad. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? We have masks now, so all they can see is my eyes. Like, hopefully I don't look so mean.
You're like, even then.
Yeah.
Gotta smile with your eyes.
But yeah, I think that's one part of me that a lot of people, I mean, I know a lot of people think that about me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even in my job, I'm like, I'm unbiased. I have to be unbiased in all these meetings.
There's worse things people can think about you. God, if I could read everyone's mind, I'm sure I'd be like, oh God. What was growing up on Tsuut'ina, what was it like for you?
Well, I grew up in the BBC.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah. What was that like?
I loved it. Like, it was home to me, and I loved that where I lived, they were in the, I don't know what they're called, duplexes. Or, yeah. My whole well, not my whole family, but it was all family oriented.
Yes, absolutely.
So I grew up next to my uncles and my aunties and my cousins, and I really liked it. And it's like where some of my best birthday memories were.
That's so. What's interesting about that, my experience of BBC was, let's see, I'm 9 years old, 10 years older than you. And being 10 years older than you, I would have been at, I guess, like party age. And so for me, I was also going to school and working. But the only time I ever went to BBC was, I guess, to go to a party.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. And what I didn't realize that was for someone like yourself, that wasn't a party town. That wasn't a party city. That was home. That was a community.
Yeah. Like, I often think about that, too, when I hear other people talking about their stories there. And it's not bad or anything. No. Like, obviously, I was aware that there was parties. Cause
you can hear.
Yeah. And there's, like, this police station there, a security station just across. So I was aware of it. But sometimes I hear people saying, oh, that was just the rowdy part of Tsuut'ina Nation.
Yeah, what was it like? What was it like for you?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
My best friend lived on the same block as me.
Aww.
And that was really fun. I got to... there was all the roads there, I got to go down there, and it was right next to the bus station that would take me to 7-Eleven or something.
So for you, unlike for a lot of us who are older, it was a community. Mm-hmm. It was home. Yeah, and like when it was evacuated, it was really hard. That was my next question. If you wanted to, obviously you don't have to. And this is really for me as well, is you're the first person I've ever spoken to, I think, or haven't had the chance to speak to about that process. Mm-hmm. I was actually working here in income support when that happened. Yeah. And when that happened, I remember we had, and we needed to, a flood of people who were suddenly homeless. What was that? What was it like? Well, I don't know how old I was when it happened. I think I was maybe 13 when it happened. So I remember coming home on the bus from the Nation schools one day, and I seen like all these vehicles there and people evacuating their homes. I was like, well, what's going on? Whoa. Like, is there a fire or something? And you were 13? I think so. And you just coming home from school? Yeah. Like, we were all on the bus, and the bus was just making its normal routes, dropping us off at these little stations within BBC. So when I got to my house, my mom and dad were there, and they're like, go grab your clothes, go grab whatever personal belongings you need, because we're told that there's asbestos and mold, and I think there's a few other things, but like, we have to get out of here. So I tried to grab all of my stuff, and then after that I wasn't allowed to go back there for months. And then I remember everyone who got evacuated eventually ended up at the arena. Mm-hmm. And I remember my mom standing in line, and then she came back to the truck, and then she said,
well, we're going to a hotel for a few weeks or days. And even then, when we were all at the hotels, we got these, I don't know what they're called, like per diems, I guess, to go clothes shopping.
Yeah.
And then I remember showing up to school the next day, and like a lot of people had the same clothes because it was at Walmart that we got them.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is crazy. But I'm very fortunate that my mom and dad are like so helpful, and they were so proactive in it. Because I do remember seeing a lot of families, like, they were being separated because there was, so many parents that weren't suitable yet.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
And then from there it was kind of just like jumping from home to home within the city, thanks to ORR. And I'm pretty sure that's where it came from, right?
I was working for the National Child Benefit. And I want to say 18, 19, and I was in Mount Royal College, so I would pass by BBC all the time. And I had family that lived there, and what it was becoming for my age group was what probably was for you was a community. It was getting out of, and I think because we were all getting older, it was getting away from being a party city, which I think was mainly because it was just more convenient. Yeah. Because we always found ways to party together. Like, we'd have fires or go to clubs. It was just, that was housing, and we could all watch out for each other. And so in that sense, even when it was like party town, it was a community. It's where we all, for better or for worse, it's where we all, I guess, felt like home.
Yeah. Like, there's a certain, I don't want to say energy, but there's a certain...
I would say energy, for sure.
Like, everyone who grew up there had a home. They know that it was home, even though it was, interpreted as something else or looked on by, Lakeview, those Lakeview residents.
Yeah. And even I remember people on the Nation at the time looked at it unfavorable. Yeah. And for those of us who looked at it that way, I think... there's a housing crisis in Indigenous communities, and there's a housing crisis, I mean, hopefully not here as much as there was, but at the time, definitely. Yeah. People were struggling, and people didn't have homes, and I didn't realize that it was a home to so many people like yourself. Yeah, because obviously there's relatives I had that lived on the land, and I would always remember being so excited to go visit them. I was like, yay, we get to run around. And that's where I thought the conversation was going to start about you growing up on Tsuut'ina. I thought you were going to talk about growing up out west on the land, because that's, so for me, my ignorance and not knowing enough about our community is that I didn't know that. In my head, I always think everyone had what I had as a child, which I was very fortunate that my grandma and where we had our house, it was a different experience, but I have to think 10 years my junior, a completely different experience. Yeah. And that BBC was home for you. That was your Tsuut'ina. That was your community. Yeah. Yeah. I still really love it. And I'm so fortunate to have experienced that, I think. Because now I do see, everyone's getting homes on the land, and I'm really happy for them, because it's you get to run around or do stuff or stuff like that. Do you have a group of individuals that you grew up with in BBC that you guys are a close friend group still? Yeah, well... Or even in your family? Well, my family, it was, my mom's brothers, and that's kind of who was on the block with me. And then the only one that I really have that grew up with me there is my best friend Sammy. Yeah, and it's so crazy because when we got evacuated, we always eventually ended up living near each other. I'm like, wow, this is so awesome. So she was the only one of my close friends who lived there, and everyone else lived on the Tsuut'ina Nation. So she's I think that's why we're kind of best friends, because she understands where we both come from. Yeah. Yeah. And now your family live out on the reserve, or are you all still in the city? No, I'm so fortunate that we all live on the reserve now. Oh, nice. So I remember growing up, my favorite place to go was my late Grandpa Harold's place, because it was up on Big Knife. Beautiful land. And it was just my favorite place to go. And now my mom has a house just down the road from him. Oh. So it's so nice. What did that feel like what did the return to the reserve feel like for you guys?
it felt so nice. Like, even now, I live in the city, but I love coming back on the reserve. It's just home, and it's so quiet, and I feel like this sense of community, and it's just my favorite thing ever. But I remember when my mom's house was getting built, we'd go up like every week or every Monday or every Sunday, and we'd go see the progress of it. And you're like, wow, this is the forever home now, and this is where my little brother gets to grow up, because he's been there since he was 2. So he's 8 now. So
I love that. Did you go to school out here or in the city?
I went to school on the Nation until grade 7, and then grade 7 to grade 10, I was in the city schools, and obviously I didn't know any better, but like, I went from high school to high school, and I even went down south to where my dad lives, and it was just a different feeling. Because I did fall behind in city, because it was so new to me. I was like, what the heck? Like, this is so different from our res schools. I don't know how to keep up, or I don't know, it was just such a different experience. But then I did come back to the Nation, and I graduated, and I got my diploma and all of that.
What was the biggest difference between, I guess, going to school here versus going to school once you left here?
Well, going to school here, it's like, everyone, the teachers, and you're comfortable with them. But you can't leave. Like, there's nowhere to leave from the Tsuut'ina school, and that's what made me fall behind in city. Is like, I would skip, and I'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna go see a movie, or I'm gonna go eat. I remember
the convenience of not being in school.
Yeah. So that
it's easy. In your family, what are some of the ways in which you practice our traditional teachings, or in ways in which you hold on to them?
My mom,
I noticed it in your jewelry.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So my mom is, she's one of the people that I like to follow and like guidance from, because she is really like into our traditional ways.
And your mom is beautiful. Not that that's like just, both inside and out. I've known your mom for a while. She's so wonderful.
Like, just this past weekend, she was at a house cleansing, and they got painted. And unfortunately, I didn't make it there in time, but I did get to, eat the food after. But just in that way.
Which is the best part.
Yeah. So in our own household, we do, she does smudge every day, and whenever I'm there, I try to sit down with her and smudge and pray and just, be so grateful. And recently she gave me this pin that I wear under my shirt, and she said she got it from my granny Helen. And it just like makes me feel so like not alone and so strong. And we just follow that way within our own household, I know. And I know for, like, it's different in each household.
Absolutely.
Because there's been so much trauma that's happened on our reserve and within
in our community.
Yeah.
And all over, like, literally all over the continent.
Exactly. And I remember when all of the ones in our close family happened, it got really hard, and it did, like, kind of separate us a little, because not in a bad way, but, it's just hard to lose someone super close to you.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I think whenever, like, there's a pillar in the family and that isn't there anymore, it's almost like a dam that's broken.
Yeah.
Suddenly water's just flowing everywhere, and people don't really have that sense of direction or that sense of, I guess, guidance. You spoke about your Granny Helen, and I know for me, my grandmother has been one of the biggest guiding forces in my life.
Yeah.
I loved your Granny Helen. I thought she was so much fun. And once again, I don't think people realize, unless they know your family, is the women in your family are hilarious. They just have a really funny, natural sense of humor that sometimes when working with your grandma Diane, I'm like, oh, I'm like, I appreciate it. And yeah, it's been one of my favorite. But in having that guidance and having that responsibility, where did you yourself learn to have that, and was there somebody that taught you?
Not how to, or just, a good Tsuut'ina woman, or a strong one. And I've tried to uphold that. And then within my own family, I am the oldest of my siblings. So that's kind of where I learned a lot of my responsibility from, because I would help out when needed.
Yeah.
And like, I take pride in that, and I'm so thankful for my siblings. I love them so much. And that's kind of where I get a lot of my responsibility from. And it's like helped me in my other areas of life, such as my work and my school and my family area. And And I learned so much from my mom. Like, I'm so thankful for her because she's been through so much and she's done so much. And even her job right now, it's like not the easiest job.
No.
And I just look up to how she holds herself together and how she presents herself to everyone. And I think it's very, very admirable.
No, any woman who can get through life. Life is hard. Any woman who can hold themselves with a sense of grace and a sense of dignity, like I've seen, that's commendable just in the world, in our community.
Like, I do look up to my grandma Diane too, because she's so strong in what she believes and what she wants for our nation to be better. So I do look up to her in that sense. I'm thankful that she introduced me to this job, because now I have an outlet to kind of push that even more so. Well, not push. I don't know if that's the proper word. Kind of just uphold it more.
Your grandma's not pushy, but she definitely has a sense of nudging you in the right direction. But yeah, she would never push.
Yeah.
At least when we worked together, I'd always ask her questions, and what she would always do is she's like, well, I think you know the answer. But what she was telling me to do was, I have my work to do, you have to go find the answer. And so I would have to. So I was really grateful for her in that sense. We've seen so much change in the 10 years in Tsuut'ina, and you said something earlier about your nieces and nephews are the seventh generation.
Yeah.
Crazy to me. And that, what do you hope for the next 7 generations?
So what I see for like my younger, my nieces and nephews is, I see us being way more progressive and more sovereign than we are now, and I really believe in that. And I see them having all of these tools that have been created from even the people before me, well, especially before me. And I see them having access to it and having a strong pillar to uphold our Tsuut'ina Nation and our Tsuut'ina ways. Like even the Gunaha Institute, how they're teaching like my cousin, she's one of the teachers there, and she's learned so much Tsuut'ina already. And she has a son, so she can help protect our language and our culture in that area. So I see them go. Yeah. And they were saying they were the lost generation because they, the trauma from residential school and their parents suffered in that. So they weren't taught our language, and it was kind of the culture in our own Tsuut'ina is so different sometimes. Yeah. So it's, I believe that our younger, like the nieces and nephews from all of us, that they'll have more of a strong pillar to look up to and to hold on to, and just to be more united and stronger, because they will be, there's still generational trauma, but it'll be less severe, I hope. And it's just working towards that in all areas.
Thank you for listening to the We Are Here podcast. I have been your host, Teddy Meguinis. We Are Here is presented by Legislative Procedures and Technical Services under the governance portfolio of Tsuut'ina Nation. Director William Bigplume, Executive Director Jordan Bigplume. Show direction and production, William Bigplume, Teddy Meguinis, and Britney Meguinis TwoGuns. Sound design and sound editing, Andrew David Barron. Archive and research development, William Bigcrow, Gilbert Crowchild, and Britney Meguinis TwoGuns. Script research and technical development, Britney Meguinis TwoGuns, Cree Bigplume, and Britney Meguinis TwoGuns. Traditional protocol advisory, Gilbert Crowchild. A special thank you to the Tsuut'ina Nation Treaty Initiatives Program, the Tsuut'ina Nation Communications Department, and last but not least, Chief and Counsel. Thank you for listening. See you, guys.